Good day, everybody. We're offering live interpretation in Spanish during this meeting. If you wish to hear Spanish interpretation, please click the interpretation button at the bottom right of your Zoom screen. You'll see the globe icon. If you are joining via the Zoom smartphone app, select your language by clicking More on the three dots in the bottom right corner of your screen. Select Language Interpretation, then choose Spanish and click Done. If you wish to hear only the interpreters and not the original speakers, be sure to click Mute Original Audio. Everyone must choose a language. Do not stay in the default off. Estamos ofreciendo interpretación en vivo en español durante esta reunión. Si desea escuchar la interpretación en español, haga clic en el botón Interpretation, o sea, interpretación, en la parte inferior derecha de la pantalla Zoom. Verá un icono del globo terráqueo. Si se está uniendo a través de la aplicación Zoom para smartphone, seleccione su idioma haciendo clic en More, o sea, más, en los tres puntos de la esquina inferior derecha de la pantalla. Seleccione Language Interpretation, o sea, interpretación del idioma. Luego elija Spanish y haga clic en Done, o sea, listo. Si desea escuchar solo los intérpretes y no a los oradores originales, asegúrese de hacer clic en Mute Original Audio, o sea, silenciar audio original. Todos deben elegir un idioma. No se quede en la posición de apagado predeterminada.
So, vielen Dank, dass ihr da seid. Herzlich willkommen. Thank you so much for being here. This is our Parent University German Home Support, and if you've been here like 2-3 years ago, it's going to be very similar because how you support is how you support. So we have some new information in there, but yeah, it is really depends on your child and depends on you, how much time you have, how much you want to do, how much you can do. So, but we try the best we can to talk to you about how you can support your student at home. We're going to go over a quick introduction, then we're going to give you some general tips how to support in German. We look at the German resource page on our website, and we'll focus on the Anton app as a suggestion what to do at home. And then throughout the presentation and also in the end, we'll have some time for question and answers. If something comes up, we have sticky notes around the room. So if you have something on your mind, you don't want to ask it right now, you can just write it down and then we'll get to it later. So our purpose of tonight is to get ideas for German home support. And we hope that you can walk away with at least one strategy that you can do tomorrow to help your student. My name is Frau Goldman, Katrine Goldman. I'm from Baden-Baden, Germany. This year I'm a 4th and 5th grade teacher. This is my 15th year here at Einstein. I was in 1st grade, in 3rd grade, and now I made it to 4th and 5th. Fun fact, this is my 6th year as a parent, and I have 3 kids here. So I have a kindergartner, a 3rd grader, and a 5th grader. So I have the whole continuum and see what's being done in the different grades.
And my name is Andrea Tollison. I'm Frau Tollison, and I actually came to Einstein in 2012 when my daughter started kindergarten. My sons followed in 2014 or 15 even. They've since gone through the entire school system and exited as of this summer. My son now also is at high school, so both of them are going on. But I've decided halfway through that teaching is my passion, and especially teaching German. I've worked at the Rasselbande for a couple of years and then moved on to actually teaching German academically. And so this is my 5th year here at Einstein in 1st grade.
So usually I tell the kids when they walk into the class, like once you've said something once a day, it's easier to say more things. So I really encourage them to use their German, and then it just gets more natural. So we would like to start with a little activity where we want you to say something in German. So throughout the session or throughout our presentation, you feel more comfortable and more encouraged. So ich heiße Frau Goldmann. Ich habe 3 Kinder. Ich wohne in San Diego. Mir geht es gut. Tollison.
Ich heiße Frau Tollison. Ich habe 2 Kinder. Ich wohne in San Diego und mir geht es auch gut.
My turn.
Who's the risk taker?
Can we ask what some of them mean, or is that not? Like, I'm just curious what the last sentence means. Mir geht es gut. I feel good.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you
yeah.
for that. That helps. That's great.
And that's what we're gonna come to. That's the whole body speaking. Imagine our kids being in the classroom with no German and I'm saying, okay, alle Kinder stehen auf und wir stellen uns jetzt in eine Reihe und wir gehen raus und gehen zum Rennen. All day long. So they have to use all their senses, all their awareness in order to take in what is being asked of them.
Mhm.
Looking not just at me, but at everybody else, what are they doing?
So who wants to go?
You should go first.
Yes.
Ich heiße Sven, ich habe 3 Kinder, 2 Menschenkinder und einen Hund. Ich wohne in North Park hier in der Nähe und mir geht es auch gut.
Oh my gosh.
He's fluent.
I'm like, whoa.
I was just stay out of this.
So the way we're gonna do it in class is say, okay, follow my lead. Ich heiße
Katie. Ich habe ein Kind.
Mhm.
Ich wohne in San Diego. Mir geht es fantastisch.
Awesome. Sehr gut. Super.
gemacht.
Ich heiße Christine, ich habe ein Kind, ich wohne in Normal Heights und mir geht es gut.
Ich heiße Heidi. Ich habe 2 Kinder. Ich wohne in North Park. Mir geht es super.
Toll gemacht.
Ich heiße Monika. Ich habe 2 Kinder. Ich wohne in San Diego und mir geht es auch gut.
I'll go. Are you ready? Okay, are you sure? Okay, ich heiße Angela. Ich habe I don't know the difference, but my son's in kinder for the first year, so
Ein Kind.
ein Kind,
Mhm.
okay,
One child.
ein Kind,
Mhm.
okay. Ich wohne in South Park. Mir geht es gut.
Prima. Sehr gut. Ich heiße.
Hi, Stalker.
Aha. Ich habe.
Ich
habe
kein
ein Kind.
Kind, 4
Oh, 4 Kinder.
Kinder
4 Kinder.
Kinder
Mhm. Ich wohne.
in San Diego. Maike
Mir geht es gut. Prima, super. Danke schön.
And you realized how that took effort and risk taking and putting yourself out there. And so that's what we want your kids to do. And first, before we even move on, having your kids here and giving them the opportunity to learn a new language, another language, just opens up their awareness to the world and the efforts that are behind language speaking, so that I just applaud you for choosing the school just for that reason.
And this is where we're going to go in next. Like, the kids need a positive mindset for the German. It is hard. It is boring. It is a lot. So we need to make them to feel good about it. And there's different ways that we here in San Diego can make the German, be a positive experience. You can go shopping at Aldi. you can participate in the Lantern Festival, all those cultural activities that are happening in the House of Germany. We're doing the carnival, the Fasching here at school, where we have like little, you know, just like cultural exposure for the kids. Yeah, the pretzels, Oktoberfest, watching soccer, being part of, you know, the German culture to help them feel, you know, positive, feel good about German, knowing, oh, it's not just like we are sitting here in California and what is Germany, where is it? But just like bringing it to them and making it, you know, be fun. And you just want to share
Yeah,
some
I
of
have,
that?
so
Yeah.
the German Kinderchor at the choir is a great opportunity with Frau Claudia, just singing German songs, performing in certain areas, performing at the House of Germany. There's a Kindertanzgruppe, a German dancing group that is organized through the German American Society and led by Germans. So they wear the traditional clothing, they do the dancing, boys and girls, and it's a very traditional feel. Oktoberfest is starting this weekend, tomorrow, at the Alkohol with the German American Society, and anybody can be members. So you don't have to be German. They're looking for families to come and join and just be part of it with Fasching and Christmas and all the holidays that are important to Germans. They're being celebrated there, and they now even have like a little soccer league going on, I think. So where sometimes every second Friday they play soccer. So it's something for the whole family to really experience.
Meeting German tourists, like the kids sometimes come in class like, oh, this weekend, like at the beach, there was these Germans, and I talked to them, like, just like these things and like pointing it out. And this is just things where they feel like, hey, the German, it makes sense that I'm learning that. So here at school, we're learning a language. We are learning German. We're learning about the language, how does it work, but we are also learning through the language and you know, bringing the cultural awareness to the kids.
I'm sorry, what's the connection with Aldi and German language?
Oh, Aldi is German.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, yes.
Does
Yeah.
that mean like
Trader
super?
Joe's and Aldi are brothers, or like, yes.
That's
Yeah.
So
amazing.
they have a lot of the German products, and all Germans
Okay.
are enthusiastic about German Week at Aldi.
Which just happened, and I was walking the next to Aldi. So yeah, Aldi is like,
I didn't know that.
Thank
you. I had no idea. Awesome.
So in our IB curriculum, we're looking at language learning on 3 levels. One is we're learning a language. So the school has chosen German as their language of instruction, the language we're learning. And so we're learning different phonics, different sounds, different words in German. So I know that there's a word, the girl, and I actually physically have to learn that it means das Mädchen. Then we're learning about a language. That goes a little bit deeper in trying to figure out, okay, so we say things like, I like you because you are nice. Well, in German, when you use because, that means you have to put your verb to the end. And so you're learning about a language. We do it this way in English, but we're doing it differently in German to get that same message across. And then as we're studying the language on the language learning, on the way on how things are being done, we're also learning cultural awareness. We're learning what is being said, how is it different? And we're reading text in German. We're realizing maybe there's a different way of saying it. Maybe essays are written in a different way. So it's on all these 3 levels that we're trying to teach the language to your children.
So we already talked about the sticky notes. So if something comes up throughout and you don't want to, you know, shout it out or ask, you know, please feel free to write down your questions. You can always email us too. If something comes after the presentation, and we'll have the emails up again later too, just for you to reach out if there's something, you know, that you want to get back to. So looking at German support in general, we'll give you some general tips. We talk a little bit about the vocabulary learning, and then we have some emphasis on the reading in German. I believe like most of you are younger students, right? How old are you're so older. Kinder and first, yeah. So that's going to be more interesting for the younger grades when we talk about the reading. So family commitment, for Charles already said, you being here, that is shows that you're interested and shows that you're invested. And this is the most, you know, the most we can ask from families, that they understand it is difficult. to learn German, but it's such a big benefit for the children. And you are all doing this together as a family. The family commitment is very important. Being supportive of that language learning, and yeah, you notice like it is a lot. When they sit here in the classroom, some already know a lot, others don't know anything. So there is a lot, that is going on, and where they have to think. So supporting them in their language learning journey, and then be positive and patient. I think patient is the most, it's for us teacher, it's hard, for parents, it's hard. There might be a time, especially the young ones, where they don't say anything. They just sit and when you ask them, oh, what did you learn? What, tell me this, or tell me that, or nothing's gonna come. Like there is this silent period where they are just taking it in, and they might not understand everything, but they are still taking it in. And so don't expect too much too fast. I think is really something that is, that we have to understand and have to be okay with, and be patient.
And just to intervene, my son, and I speak German at home all the time, chose for 3 years not to respond. He would understand everything, but for 3 years, there was really not much productive language that I could see. And then one day it was like a switch. I took a trip to Germany to trigger it. It could be something completely different with my daughter. It was just excitement about being able to speak it. It started earlier, but with him, I almost gave up, and I thought, well, this kid is just not going to talk. And then he did. And so your kids, the more they're here and feel comfortable, they will get there.
And just like for Charleston is saying, like it is different for every child. Same
Yes.
thing. I have 3 children. It's all a different story, and for different reasons. My son never went to preschool. His German is really, really good. My daughter, who went to preschool, who is like very smart, she just doesn't like it. So yeah, the other one, she's like really hard worker. Like she really wants to. Like if she, she knows. Oh, now German. Like I speak German. Like she's making these conscious like decisions what to do. So they are all 3, and I'm doing the same at home. Like I'm not doing, anything different with those 3, but they are just all doing it differently, and we see that in the classrooms too. All our students, they, shine with different things, and they struggle with different things, and so with your children too, there's not like one recipe, oh, that's what you have to do, and that's the same thing you have to do. It's really you have to figure out what is it that your child needs and wants, and works best with.
And what I want you to take away is don't give up. Just don't give up.
So the other thing that we have down here is learn German yourself. Seeing the kids, you being in the same boat, like trying it, making a mistake, them being able to help you, to support you, to teach you. I think that is really something that is powerful. My husband has a 1,500-day streak, or I don't know exactly the number, on Duolingo. His German is okay, but he's doing it, and the kids know he's doing it. The kids know he's like, hey, he's trying, and they can help him or they can laugh at him. But they just see how how it's important in our family. I put Google Translate there because it is a great resource. I put parents on there as well. Just it doesn't do anything for me if they are supposed to write, a paragraph about something. They write it in English and then click, and it's not for students. If it's like a vocabulary word, yes, for sure. But for parents, I think Google Translate is an excellent, source. If we, send something home in German, you can even like with a picture, and it translates it for you. So this is something where you can access the German quickly. But yeah, learning the language yourself and learning with your child, I think that is the most powerful tool that you can, provide them with. The next one is provide language exposure. We know tech time and screen time and all that, but making that screen time German screen time, like Disney Plus, a lot of times you can switch into German, the language, German subtitles, YouTube, there's, all those videos. On YouTube, you can reduce the speed, so it's not as fast. So that is helpful. If you have a German show, you can have it play it a little slower. That when we watch something in class too, like I would go to like 90%, 95, it still like sounds good, but it's just like a little slower for the kids. So that is something that you might think about. And then, yeah, video games, same thing. You can change the language on the books using play dates. It's not gonna happen. You invite a German family and they speak German, no, but it might. And you can, encourage them and just like having that exposure for them. So those are just some ideas for that. We have Homeschool Connection. Read the weekly teacher emails. There's oftentimes a lot of links that you can go to or slideshows that you can see. Find out what the students are doing in class. Communicate with your teacher. If you have a question, ask your teacher, and they might not get back to you like this, but there is they'll get back to you, and you can ask the specific question or have recommendation for a book or just what can I do? How is it going? Homework completion. We don't have a lot of homework, but if there's something vocabulary learning, like most of my students, it's mostly about vocabulary. Encourage them, let's practice. Like, hey, I practice with you in the car when we're waiting in line. Just like having making sure that they interact with the German after school. And if they're in the A week, B week model, like especially in that English week where they don't have any German, like that they have do the German, at home.
Can I ask a question throughout? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm thinking about one thing we do every day. So I'd like to build this into regular routines. And one thing we do every day is read. And so when I got like a German English book from the library, but when I was reading it, my son was like, no, stop. Like it was clear that I wasn't, it's taking me a while. I wasn't. So are there audiobooks? It just came to mind right now. Like, is that like a better choice? Because then we can listen together and hear it and look at the words at the same time.
Yeah, and we will have this a little later about the what the library has to offer, because our library is very well stocked. So yeah, audiobooks is definitely an option. But even you trying, even if the child says, "Oh no, that doesn't sound like my teacher."
Like no, Mom,
That's
stop.
yeah.
Thank you, son.
I get that too.
Reading the sleep though, when I read German books, you need that, but it's not like late.
Like terrible.
I wanted to communicate with your teacher, especially for the younger grades. Please let us know if there's at home a lot of struggle during German weeks. If it's like he doesn't want to go to school, or she doesn't, like in the morning there's extra trouble or whatever, just so that we can be aware of it, to maybe figure out if there's something happening in class that is still too early, like maybe there's too much language production that this kid is.
Kindergartners don't get weeks anymore. It's an hour a day.
German, first grade German, we still do.
Okay.
But like down the line, right?
Yeah.
You don't know how it's going or so we wanna make sure that we're aware of it. If there's anything that relates to the language learning that isn't going smoothly.
So for kindergarten, I think it's linked. I'm kindergarten mom too, so I think it's linked in every Friday email, this document where you can have a lot of options to interact with the German. First grade has a good website where you can find under helpful links for German, you find like a lot of things that is applicable to what's going on in the classroom. So yeah, just like reading those Friday email, and like Frau Tollison said, like communicating with the teacher what's working or what is a struggle, or if you have a question. And I think a question like this is definitely something, hey, what do you think? And from my perspective, I say you still try, because at one point your child will be in the same, spot. It's like, okay, I'm trying too. And it's like, oh, now I can do it better than my mom, So I think that is, again, showing your child that you want to, that you try. And, but again, you also can do one at you and then one at the audiobook. So I think a mix is good for that. Okay.
So ultimately, for home support, the goal is, in an ideal world, for your child to pass in 5th grade the DSD. and then the DSD 1, and then in 8th grade, the DSD 2, which is the German language diploma that is issued by the government. Those documents in 8th grade are actually being sent to Germany and graded and put back, so they have really gotten a stamp of approval that their language skills are passing for, how would you say that, a significant German participant, like somebody who can participate in society. Those are the same tests that some refugees are taking when they're coming to Germany to show their language skills. So the biggest part and how you can support the most is vocabulary learning, because ultimately the bigger their lexicon is, the better they will be able to express themselves, write about themselves, comprehend text, because they're able to understand what they're reading and they can reproduce it when they're speaking. We're starting on a very slow level, or a low level, talking about German phonics in 1st grade. We're learning the German sound system. The German sound system is necessary to then read the German vocabulary and to recognize it. So for example, if I read spielen, and I don't have the sound system, I might say spielen. Now, if I pronounce that this way, when I'm reading a text, and I have a good amount of German that I know, I would not recognize this word because I'm applying the wrong code to it. So, but by saying spielen, it might ring the bell, they know exactly what you're talking about. So the sound system is your foundation for this language learning. They have to, in our school, learn both codes, the English code and the German code. And so in 1st grade, we want them to really learn the sound system so that these vocabulary words can be read and practiced, so that they can then start reading and understanding German and ultimately pass their DSD. I think we're going into, oh yeah, and then if you're able to concentrate on vocabulary learning and then also on routine phrases at home, what we want is like a translanguaging, like a going fluent back and forth between the languages. I tell my kids that when we do practice and we read, we talk, and I say, okay, let's practice ich sehe, I see. You don't know it, throw it in English so that we can go back and forth and just at least use parts of the language, and then other parts that we know. I tell my Spanish kid, if you don't know, just say it in Spanish, because then we can all help and work together on figuring out what that sentence is. So it's really a fluent Danglish, Spanglish. And so this is what we want. And you can do the same at home by just using daily phrases. Guten Tag. Hello, guten Morgen, good morning, hallo, auf Wiedersehen, tschüss, bis gleich, see you in a bit, bis bald, see you tomorrow, bis morgen. So these phrases, whatever it is that you guys are saying at home that is on a regular basis, you might want to just think, what can I translate? What can I easily incorporate to just make it a routine? Because those will stick.
And these are just random ones because
Yes.
it's a Google search. So whatever you want to say, or whatever is important, bedtime routine, like morning routine at the breakfast table. Like it doesn't matter what it is, but just like having this routine. And with the ich sehe, what First also saw on the sentence strip. This is like if the child says something like this, multiple times a day, it's more than just sitting there. And just like this, like repetition is so important for them. So yeah, as much as you can, throw into your everyday life, the better it is. And you can have like, set a goal as a family, like how many, sentences did we say today? It's like, oh, we reached our goal. It's like, oh, today we didn't make it. But just like celebrate what you are as a family, using, how you use your German or how often you use your German. So this is why what we said about like the importance of vocabulary learning. Practice the words that teachers send home. If your child really does not want to practice those words, if your child is interested in baseball, like make a word bank with baseball words. Like if you like to go shopping, like make a word bank with like shopping. If you like going to the zoo, like just like so as much vocabulary as possible that, you know, applies to your child. So there are just like some ideas how you could do that. A lot of grades will give you something like a Faltblatt where they have the words in different, translation, and then you practice them on Monday, on Tuesday, on Wednesday. So just like that, they have every day a little exposure to those words. If you don't get the paper, you can always make your own. Have columns, practice it every day. We have note cards in the upper grades. They make their own like flashcards.
Lower grades, we work with pictures. I mean, these are laminated, but you can easily just, just use the pictures and ask for the actual vocabulary, or write down just the word and tell them what is this in English. We do in first grade a lot of with memory, so we have all these cards just in a box, and then we ask them to match them, the words with the pictures, or sort them in a certain way.
So again, you can use note cards for that. You can make them yourself. You cut a paper in 8 pieces. You have the English, the German, you have a picture, you have a Spanish, you have a sentence. Whatever you want to do, you can do ABC order with the words. You can play a memory game. Who can, find the word faster? Just these things to include that German vocabulary into your playtime. We do have some labels. I like that at our house. Like you label the pig, der Tisch. Every time you pass it, that's the Tisch. Die Tafel. Every time you pass it, you say it. Das Regal. Every time you say it. And then we have die Wasserflasche. And that's a long word in German, but yeah. Every time you see it, oh, die Wasserflasche. And this is something. Did you bring your Wasserflasche? Like, if you just say that every day, it's like, yep, German is important in our house. That's me. Depending on how, organization, you don't have a notebook, like add on to that notebook with your vocabulary words. Kids like to chalk, bring it outside, like that's what we're going to do today. Use your chalk and write, draw, label a picture. And then have a dictionary at hand, no matter if it's a book or if it's an online resource. But yeah, a dictionary is definitely something where, they.
Also, another one is writing the words on a card and then cutting them out by sounds. And so they have to sort it in order to spell it. They like that too, and making little puzzles out of it.
I noticed that the vocabulary we get for kindergarten is English and Spanish. Is there a reason why it's not English and German?
Yeah, I have something in there too, actually. Yeah.
So I do it in first grade too, but I'm not quite sure. In first grade, we are looking at it, and I'll show you in a moment why, because we're looking at it from a linguistic perspective. So I'm not sure how it's being presented, but it could be for the same reason. So I would have to double check with them on why.
And I know in the math curriculum, like the math curriculum is an English curriculum, and that works with Spanish as their other
That's what it
language.
is. It's the math.
That's what so
packet.
yes, it's in the math, and this is just how the curriculum comes, where it is for Southern Californian schools, and they mostly have Spanish and not German. So this is part of the curriculum from the math.
Even with IB, with the International Baccalaureate Organization, German's not one of their languages that they provide materials in. So it's French, I think maybe Chinese and Spanish for additional, yeah. So
this is where I'm coming. So this is kind of my passion, because I feel like these kids are going to go through life here at Einstein being confronted not only with English and the problem of English that they might not know. They will also have to understand German, most likely looking at texts that they don't know. So we need to create an awareness in them that all languages are coming from the same source. There are thousands of cognates between English and German, and there are hundreds between German and Spanish. So we would be fools not to teach them early on that those languages are connected. And they can look for connections through sound, and they can look for connections visually. And so when we're seeing der Vater, maybe I have a picture of something next to it, and I see the father, I can see that even though it's a different letter, the sound is the same, and there's only one letter that is different in the capital. So that awareness in students will give them the, I'm seeing a word that looks like tunnel. If I pronounce it English, it would be tunnel. Most of them sit here and they have no idea that this connection exists, and it's so important that they know that. Same thing. So we're learning das auto. Well, in Spanish, it might not be the most common term, but they know el auto. It's spelled exactly the same way. So if they see that and they know that word in Spanish and they can apply a sound code, they will have the connection and they will have the meaning. And so in first grade, we're talking about the language tree. If there's a word that is close, what could it be? Pronounce that in English. Peter already gets me closer. Then I have humongously big words in German. I might know Ohren because it's a word I've grown up with. Okay, Ohren, I know that, so ear. Maybe I only know one, so maybe one ear. Then I've maybe created an awareness that every time hen is attached to things, it makes it small. Sometimes people call Paulchen, they call their names, put the hen at the end, makes it small. So now I know, looking at that word, it has something to with ears and it must be little. Now I'm looking at the middle. Stab. I pronounce it English, I say stab. Stab. Ear stab small. What could an ear stab small mean? Well, it's actually a Q-tip. So if you would have a picture here, you could probably figure out what that means by just using your language knowledge. And that's what we mean by translanguaging. We want them to be aware that all of it is connected, that all these little tools that they learn throughout their life here brings these languages together, and they can create meaning through that. How weird that Germans are talking about stabbing their ears with small little things. But it also is how literal German is. That's a cultural thing. So we have to have them learn as linguists at the little parts of the languages right from the get-go.
And again, that is something that makes them very proud, like if they find these connections, and if they see it, and if they can collect them.
I mentioned earlier that we're talking about codes. So in our school, English code, German code. Interestingly enough, there is a sound chart for the English sounds, and everything in yellow is a sound that is the same in English and in German. We unfortunately don't have yet a system where it shows the Spanish ones. I would be interested in actually seeing how many of those overlap. But you can see that the chances of pronouncing something fairly accurate are already pretty good by just the overlapping. Frau Claudia has created a song that they learn in kindergarten, and maybe they still know it in the older age, about the sound, so that they can associate animals like the elephant. So when they hear or see they have that sound memory. So that's through the song. If we go to the next one, the way that the German reading program, the ABC der Tiere, that is the program here at our school, teaches reading is through motions for the sound. And it's either making the letter form with their hands to remember a sound, or to, like with g, show the location. So if I have them touch their Adam's apple and say g, they feel a jump. So that's a memory that we create. Through their body, they will be able to remember the sound system. And we want them to learn this by heart so that they can read words like spielen correctly, so they have a better chance of understanding when they're reading something. So this, as you can see, is what we concentrate in first grade all over. We have a little video from former student who's doing some of the sounds. Now, she's not pronouncing them all 100% correct because she's adding an at the end a little bit, which is a German way of saying those sounds in a more playful way. But yeah, she's getting very close, and we want kids to. And so you see how she goes yi or y. The at the end shouldn't be there, it's just yi. But it gets him close enough. If I hear y or yi, I can work with that. We also, I lost my thread on the, so for example, in English, you would say j. They don't do this movement, so only on the German side do we do yi. And in English, I think it's j. I think they do a movement like this so that they know with their body, okay, I'm in German week, I'm going to say yi, and I'm in English week, I'm going to go j. But they have to learn two different systems.
And with the German, like once you have, and this is what Franz was saying earlier, like once you have the sounds, this is what you get. There is these few exceptions, but once you have the sound and you see it, you get it. You have the pronunciation.
Yeah, it's a phonetic language, and I have kids read texts fluently, like a German reader, just based on this. They don't understand anything, or some of them don't understand anything that they're reading, but they're reading it to perfection, just because they know the sounds. And so if they then recognize spielen because they pronounce it, and it's like, oh yeah, something about spielen, I'm just.
But this is again where the vocabulary learning is so important. Like again, in the upper grades too, like they sound like it sounds really good. They can read, but yeah, the vocabulary is still not there. So this is where this is really important that we enforce or force them to practice as much as possible their vocabulary. And this is where we go into reading, and the reading in English versus the reading in German. Since the phonics, there are some similarities, but English is much more difficult. So they have a lot of these phonics readers where you really focus on one skill. In German, we don't have those. We have created some of those, and the book that we're using, like the Fibel in German, they are partly focusing on certain phonics patterns, but it gets hard really fast, or there's a lot of text really fast, and then the kids might be able to decode but don't comprehend. So there's this discrepancy where they can sound it out, but they don't know the word, so they don't understand. And then the older they get, they read in English, these big books, this is their interest, but in German they can't do that. So this is where their interest and their ability goes apart, and this is where it's so difficult. And my daughter, she's a great reader, but she does not read in German. And this is where, again, I can tell her, and I can ask her, and we can set like a goal, but she just doesn't enjoy it, and she loves reading in English.
I think seeing that little video was what we got to watch during COVID. So all of first grade and what you're covering for the younger grades, we had to do at home.
Yes.
And so now I'm seeing and something that was really helpful was that German is pronounced exactly how it looks.
Exactly.
And that was helpful to us
Yes.
to a point to where in like 3rd or 4th grade, I realized he was reading beautifully, but the comprehension wasn't there.
Yeah.
And I didn't understand that.
Yeah.
So now I'm at a point kind of like where your daughter's at. I mean, I think they're the same.
Right. Yeah.
Where it's just, I feel like he's reading at a 2nd or 3rd grade level, and maybe that's normal, even though he's
And we definitely, it's just like it's still, they are here in California. This is what they, what they enjoy. This is what they've always read more in English, and then just the same, and it comes easier in English, and hey, it is so much more interesting, and they can read so well in English, so it's just like way more effort to put into the German, and then it doesn't, like this text, like that's not interesting, like, because what I can read, is so much more fun, so this is where we definitely see that.
And like on my end, I have a reader and a non-reader at home who refuses to read. So it was very similar. She read in German, but I could tell from her reading level, like she would read books that were about 3 to 4 years behind her actual age level. And luckily, I guess on my end was that she enjoyed those types of books still for a while. Now it's out the window. Like she hasn't touched a German book in forever. So for keeping reading alive, it was almost like a mandatory thing. Like here's something that is pipi einfach, completely easy. Just I want you to read for 10 minutes and just read it and read it out loud to keep it alive. But then pleasure reading was from English books.
That's what we do at home too. It's like, okay, you have to, it's like, read it out to me if it sounds good, if you can understand, fine. And then, go back and read your English, but it's like a must at our house.
And do you do this like, because I find in the upper grades, there's more and more homework, most of it is math. I'm really having, like you're saying, like do the German even on your English beats, but do you do it on the weekends? Like when do you personally do it? Because it is something that is disliked. So when does it come in?
Like in the car, maybe in the car, could come in the car. Before you do this, then you do that.
Unfortunately, and I feel like this is homework altogether. Like it will always be that little bit of a struggle, and I feel like there has to be a carrot that hangs over them to do certain things. I mean, I feel like it's that carrot and that you have to sit down 10 minutes. That arguing is just some. Yeah, I hear you. Absolutely. Yes, painful.
So I think this is the conversation, like for the older levels, just like this, like, the interest versus, versus the ability. I think this is what, the older they get, that's definitely gonna come out more.
And I think if I can just say off the cuff, I think, and I wonder if there's a connection that can be made about this homework that we're doing to like intrinsic goals of that person themselves. Like, does that lead to being able to travel to Germany with your friends by yourself when you're older? Does that lead to something that's like a pie in the sky, or not a pie in the sky, but something that's like interesting to them? I would personally want to think about that for my son when he gets older and we hit this point. Seems pretty normal. So I don't know. I wonder about that, like connecting that goal of German reading to something that actually is intrinsically motivating. And what is that? You know what I mean?
So for my son, for both of my kids, unfortunately, my daughter, that happened during the pandemic, but for my son, it was the exchange in 7th and 8th grade.
Like that.
Knowing that he would go by himself and his friends to Germany and spend 3 weeks with a family was a huge motivator. And actually having him come back, I thought his German was good. But even 2 weeks with the families and with all friends and German teenagers all together, that boosted his language production tremendously. I mean, it's tapered down again, but for these little spikes, like that's what it looks like. And then the same thing for my daughter when reading wasn't so much, but I discovered a German TV show. Like I just Googled what is hip with teenagers, and there was this like, I don't know, like vacation home or something where teenagers are living together for a week and they have to do everything on their own. And it was like, oh, we're gonna watch what's happening. So suddenly German TV was like a hit in my house. It hasn't been for a long time. And so I feel like you kind of have to go with their interests and try to sneak it in wherever. Like for me, it was German TV watching was only in German. And if they were so desperate that they just wanted to have this box on, then they took German.
So when we're looking at how in the younger grades, Oh, this was the library, yeah, so, yeah, we asked earlier, so there is a, on our website link, is a list of books, where your, the grade and the interest, and just some ideas. On Mondays from 3:15 to 3:45, parents can go to the library, and Frau Ute and Ms. Gollins are very, know where and what, so, I really would recommend for you to go in and ask them about audiobooks. And yeah, just like things of interest for your child. And then yeah, library day, like encourage them to get a German library book. Like every time we go, I tell them, take 2 German books, and some people take 1. But this is to like, if from at home, like if the more people like ask them to bring a German book home, that is good. And we have a great like amount of books in our library.
And then Captain Underpants is a hit in first grade. And so they read those books back and forth in English. And I have kids on the carpet who can basically translate verbatim. When we read that in English, in German, they know exactly how the terms are. And since I am not as fluent in them, they correct me with, oh, no, that's not this, it's this.
But this is another strategy for the older readers. Like if they can read a Magic Tree House in English and they've read it in English, then get the German Magic Tree House and read it afterwards, or read it side by side, or you read the English and they read the German, just so they have like this background knowledge and might pique their interest. And having read it already in English, it might be then easier for them to have the stamina to complete the German book. And there is a lot of titles that are both in English and in German.
And if we wanted to go to the Monday library checkout at 3:15, do we go through the front office or
Yes.
what's the best?
Yeah. So yeah, Frau, do you want to go over the reading itself?
Oh, yeah. So you saw earlier the word Ohrenstädtchen. So who and how do you approach that as a language learner and as a new reader? We start in first grade learning our sound system and then putting sounds together to learn how to read syllables. And we want them to be super fluent, like if they sing that to me because they've read it so much and it sounds like mo mo mi mo mu mu mo 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 mi mi mu mu I mu u. That's how fast I want them to read the syllables so that they can then easily put them together and put 2 syllables like lama on their arm, lama together. Memo, eze, libo. That's how quickly I want them to read syllables so that they can then start putting easy ones together, and then they look and like words like this that are in their everyday life, and they can see ma, len, ren, men, fa, ren. And they will notice patterns that, oh, all these verbs are ending in n. And so that awareness of reading syllables, writing syllables, and the phonetic, such a true code. If I then say, okay, let's write memo, what do you hear? E. Okay, first syllable. Let's do the next one. Mo, o. Okay, let's write it. So this is their foundation for reading, but then also for writing and spelling, because if they then know how to use these syllables, they can actually, the German that they know, translate into their writing.
And so yeah, if you see that text, heute ist Donnerstag, es ist der 26. September, heute ist es sonnig, oh, that's a lot. So what we do, we give them the syllable markers, and you saw maybe when Frau Tolson was like on the board or on the posters, like she went under heute ist Donnerstag, is there, just like so how to have this like these syllables, be aware of those syllables, and then when you add the color, like that is even and another step where it's like, okay, heute is Donnerstag, because I can just focus on them, saying them fluently. And then the next step would be we are adding pictures to it. Okay, heute is Donnerstag. Montag, Dienstag, Mittwoch, Donnerstag, Freitag, Samstag, Donnerstag. Es ist der 26. Oh, got it. 26. und heute ist es sonnig. So this is just like some like scaffolds for them to be more successful in their reading.
And then we, even for the little ones, or even also the big language learning, we try to incorporate sound American Sign Language ideally, but sometimes we just make up certain certain movements. For Claudia in her songs is doing, like singen is always like this, and then heute we do this movement. So when it gets so in their body that I can say, okay, let's do the day today, and all I need to do is just do this, and here goes the class saying heute, just because they've done that movement and said that word so many times that it's in their body. If it's in the body, it's in the brain.
Yeah, so these were the general tips. I think we had good conversation. Are there any questions right now? If not, the German resource page, and it is being revamped right now. But if you click on that link, and we will provide this slide for you, so you will have access to all the links that were on here. But on our website, we have a collection of German resources. And again, like there's things to play, things to watch, read and listen. There's different apps. So again, whatever you need, whatever your child likes, this is a good place to find just like some resources that we feel are valuable. But there's so many more. Like, yeah, I mean the internet, you can find anything in German. So but this is just like something that was put together, by teachers over time that, that we feel is helpful. So what I want to show you, and some of you already might know, is an app that we use in most of the grades. It's called Anton, and I'll have a little QR code for you, and I think we have time for you to set it up, but I just want to show you what it is. Duolingo is great for parents. I don't like it for my students, but again, my daughter that doesn't read, like she does Duolingo, like that's what she does. And like, okay, at least she interacts with the German somehow. My husband, as I said, he's really good at it. But Anton is made for German students, and so a German student in first grade, goes in here, like he goes to a German Grundschule, and he or she does letters, the sounds, little reading things. If there's a German student in second grade, they go to their second grade, you find everything. So it really has a lot of activities. It has math, it has English, biology, chemistry, physics, and this is all in German. So it's a great resource. It's for free. So it also has German as a second language. And yeah, here they really start with Hallo and Tschüss. And
Hallo.
We're gonna listen, see.
Hallo.
It's repeated,
Tschüss.
repetition. Then you match it. She says Tschüss. Oh no. She says Tschüss. And she says Hallo.
Tschüss.
Oh, that's this one.
Hallo.
Yeah, but it's very.
Geschafft. 3 Sterne am Start.
And sometimes I get a point for it, and I can cash in the point to play games. So it's a nice motivator. Guten Morgen.
Gute Nacht. Guten Morgen. Gute Nacht.
That's what's guten Nacht.
I think this would be great for kinder.
Guten Morgen.
It'd be like very appropriate.
Gute Nacht.
For anybody.
You hear it, you see it, you have the picture, you have the writing. Okay, so you see, they also have preschools for the really little ones. That's what my son did, like a preschool. Very kid-friendly.
Löwelio liebt nicht nur Luftballons. Er sammelt alle Dinge mit. Wo hörst du hier am Anfang? Schiebe diese Bilder.
Eis. Banane. Löffel. Löffel. Lampe. Lampe.
See, so
Wie Lampe und Löffel.
you click on it, they say, you hear it. Yeah, and so this is preschool for a child in Germany. So we are not in Germany, so this might be a little, more difficult, but once they do it, like they'll get the hang of it. But yeah, the German as a foreign language, that is really for non-German speaker, that's a very good, and there's 3 different levels for it. So I think Anton is a very good, and yeah, again, I like it that it's made for children, and I really enjoy, working with it. The kids really enjoy too. But yeah, so there's 5th grade German. He has like spelling patterns or capitalization. There is reading where they have to read their
Schau dir das Bild an.
text
Welches
later
Thema
on,
könnte ein Artikel
background
zum
knowledge,
Text
background vocabulary. So it's a great, like there's a wealth of activities on here. And I think that is really something, again, like, 10 minutes every day during, driving in the car. If they are on the phone anyways, like this is where they can only have it if they use it for this, or something like this, where you as a family have to make your rules or set.
Can you have multiple kids on the app, or do you have to?
Yes, you can, yes. So, yeah. What it has, when you sign up for it, they have these language versions. It's here, for mine it says Sprachversion right now. And there is an English version for it. Oh, that's not this one. And depending on what language you're in, so when you probably started here, it's going to give you the US version.
Right.
And then you have different subjects on here. But you can always toggle around. You can go back to the German version and then you see all the German things again. So once you sign in, make sure that you play around with that language version. And when you do have German on there, then it gives you all the German materials. And I think yeah, because now you have subjects and now they do this is the math kindergarten. So this would be an English program, math kindergarten. You still see, I think, the German as a foreign language.
Yeah,
Was it there?
Understand.
Oh, here, there's German. See, so there's German level 1. So you still get something in German. But if you just go back and you change your German language settings, then you have all the things that the kids in Germany get. But yeah, I have a student from Brazil, he's doing the Portuguese version, and he still has access to German, but he can also, read a text in Portuguese. So yeah, I'm a big fan of that, of Anton, and a lot of teachers use it here at the school. So that was that. I think there is login videos again, how you log in. We can try. I think we're going to stop soon, and then we can, if you want to sign up for it, I can try to help you with that. Because other than that, this was our last point. And we just have some, if there were any additional questions that you had, or.
Are there any on Zoom? Any questions?
So far, there's just one question.
Mm-hmm.
This one is, what can I do to help my child when he doesn't want to read in German?
Bribe.
Teacher it by yourself.
Yeah. I mean, it's really, that is a family, family thing. I struggle with it. With one child, the other one, she just likes it. But yeah, this is really where, if you do this, then we can do that. I think that would be my, and then find something that interests them. Read, the language maybe that he or she understands, and then, have the German something similar.
And if it's difficulty level, I would say also, so reading, sounding like a fluent reader could sometimes be just reading syllables, or maybe just reading the easier words, skipping over. So it would be der Mann ist, der hat, just to recognize those few words that can be read I consider that reading practice because it creates fluency. Every time this child then sees ist or hat and kann, it can pronounce it right away fluently. So I'm even happy about that. And on first grade and kindergarten level, it could be just as simple as finding one sound. Let's say d, and every time you see it, you say d, 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 d. That's reading. You're recognizing a sound and you're linking it with a letter. That's where it starts.
Yeah. I have a new student, she's working with this workbook and it's not like reading workbook, but it's really like a vocabulary building workbook. But she always like, can I use that for my reading? It's like, yes, sure. Like there's the instructions, there's, you know, the words, labelings. Yep, this is reading too. It doesn't have to be like the text. It can be really something that she needs because this is much more beneficial right now for her to read that and she can actually work with that. Then yeah, she now sounds out like, you know, 2 pages of text. So really something again, like that makes sense to them that they, you know, want to. So find something that they want to, that they're interested in. That was the yeah, we always look for German host or for host families for German interns. So this was, yeah, like having somebody in your house and even like, you know, a friend or a relative, it doesn't have to be a German intern, but we as a school, we always look for host families. And I know living in San Diego, that is not the easiest to provide room for somebody else, but that is definitely something that if you're interested, please reach out to me.
I had several families in our group of friends when we went through Einstein host interns, and those friendships, some of them lasted like for decades after that, or a decade, that sounded like not that old. So they're visiting each other, that now these interns are married and have babies, and so they go out and visit each other. So it's really, like for some, it works out great. Some, it's just 6 months and then they go home and then that was it. But it's definitely a resource at home to increase German.
So any sort of like German speaking babysitter network?
I'm sure you can find it, and so my daughter always says.
Really?
Yes, so
I would talk to
maybe
her.
she's in her senior year, so I don't know how available, but you know, it's really like word to mouth, and then being linked to these German or like the House of Germany in Balboa Park, the German American Society, that's where the Germans are being great.
They're hanging out.
Yes, and you can potentially find.
So we don't give out, like they say with tutorings, I get like questions like, oh, can you recommend a tutor? We don't like recommend a tutor, but this is, yeah, community. Like there is, you know, I know a lot of families that have, you know, this person or that person. So I think that's like a community resource where, you know, reach out to the community and yeah, there is a network, I would say.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
We do hope you have one thing that you can do tomorrow. And yeah, that just like in general, you got some ideas. And again, please reach out if you have questions, and we are more than happy to answer or to research. But yeah, again, thank you so much for being here. There is now the pizza that we can eat or take. And yeah, if you want to have some help with the Anton, I would be happy to, you know, help you set it up on you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. That one around. And just one favor, if you didn't sign in, if you can sign in, please, it just helps give us, you know, documentation to continue these parent universities. Please talk them up because we really want parents to come, and even if you have topic ideas for us, just share those with us. We'll try and make them happen, so.
I think it'd be great to do like a continuation of this and like continue to talk about it in some manner, because it is so, it was so great what you said. There's so many strategies that you laid out, and so maybe we could try some and talk about, you know, what that was like or what worked or what didn't or something like that. I think for me personally would be super cool to try.
So I did this presentation, you know, like multiple times. And then out of this came like, oh, like, can we do something for parents, for families? So what we did last year, we did one session of German class for parents, and that was awesome. That was super, gives me goosebumps. It was really good. That was really fun. We had like 20 parents, and we just tried, and we did the vocabulary games, and we made the vocabulary cards, and we practiced the sounds. So that was really cool. So the idea was that this year we're going to do like a maybe 2 or 3 session of like German for parents.
That would
So
be
we
awesome.
wanted to start with this, and then throughout the year have like 2. I'm thinking 2 or 3. Today we're learning this. Next time we're learning that, and then we're learning this. I think that is something that we have planned for the future.
Yes.
Yeah. And then you have to talk, which you all did. Awesome. Yeah.
Do you ever host a sort of interactive with the parents and children in that style? Because then we can see from our perspective sort of what you guys are teaching them, but also what's working for them individually, to see what they kind of shy away from because it's not interesting, and what they really embrace, and bring that back.
So when we did it the first time, it was just parents, and there was childcare provided. That was just like parents, but I like that idea. That is definitely something we can think.
Yeah, it still helps the parents, I think, first.
Oh,
and
totally.
themselves, and then
Yeah.
we can
No,
slowly
I
put
like
them
that
in
idea. I like that idea. Yeah.
Are the slides gonna be available or?
Yes, I'm gonna put it on the website.
Awesome, yes.
And
Where?
everything's like
It's
linked
gonna be on the
slides.
Parent University resources and schedule page, so I
Okay.
update that that table with the slide decks on it and the live streaming too, so it'll all be on there.
And then you can click on the links. There were more videos like on there. So you can then have access to all those slideshows or videos that was
And if any questions come up, always email us. Our email addresses are in there too. We're happy to answer any questions that.
Thank you both.
Thank you. So informative.
Oh, so please get.
Guten Appetit.
Not so.
All right.